So today I wanted to talk about the FIRE movement because it is pretty near and dear to my heart, but at the same time, it is a love and hate relationship with it. And maybe this analogy will land for you because I feel like we all know somebody who is a one-ply toilet paper person. Now, there's nothing wrong with that as long as you always use soap after you use the bathroom, but in my opinion, you fall into this trap sometimes when you get into the FIRE movement. And for a little bit of backstory, I can share why I went a little bit too far with FIRE and then how it kind of messed up my head a little bit. And now I'm having to kind of like reprogram my mindset a little bit. Like a lot of people, I landed on the FIRE movement by Mr. Money Mustache and went to his website, started reading a bunch of content. And one of the articles that really got me was the shockingly simple math behind early retirement. And he has this savings rate in working years until retirement. And basically, if you can save 50% of your income, you can retire in 17 years. Now, this can really suck you in because in my particular case, at that time frame of my life, I was in a job that was a really bad fit for me. And I was getting more and more frustrated at that job and more angry. And what I found was solace in the FIRE movement. So I started reading up more and more, and I was like, okay, like I've always been a natural saver, but I'm more like 25%. What if I can get to 75%? I could, be retired in 7 years. And then maybe you're like me, I ended up on these like compound interest calculators where I would put in stuff like, okay, I have $100,000 right now. If I put 40 in and 8 years, what do I have then? 644. Okay. What if I could put in 50,000? What does that look like? And I'm not kidding you. Like I used to spend hours a week using tools like these, trying to figure out when I could retire, when I could, all these things. But the truth of the matter is I'm a worker. I like creating things. I like doing things. I like, trying out an idea and seeing if it works. So don't get me wrong. I love the FIRE movement. I love the fact that it's about, creating a lifestyle that's right for you, not keeping up with the Joneses, putting your priorities straight and figuring out what kind of life you want to lead, and then having financial freedom eventually to be able to do that. Like that is what I am after 100%. But I do have 3 beefs with the FIRE movement. The first one is echo chambers. And now you've probably been in them because I've certainly been in them as well. You start off and maybe you read like Mr. Money Mustache or you found a podcast, whatever it may be. Then you're in a Facebook group and you're in a Reddit thread and everybody's thinking the same way and you can fall victim to groupthink. And my issue with that is you have your own values, you have your own life, you have what matters to you. But sometimes you start reading these things and then you start doing this really like toxic kind of groupthink. And what I started falling into was my second biggest beef with FIRE movement is comparison. I believe the famous quote is that comparison is the thief of joy. So once you start comparing yourself to other people, it gets really frustrating because then you're like, oh, like I'm so far away from retiring and this person is like 30 years old in this Reddit thread and they've already got $2 million. But when you combine these echo chambers with comparison, I think it becomes very toxic for your own mental state. And for me, I was really hardcore because I was doing this on Facebook, I was doing this on Reddit, and I was even going to local meetups as well. So the best thing I can say is don't do that. It's just compare yourself to yourself. Think about where you were a year ago, 5 years ago. If you're somebody who had 6 figures of debt like 4 years ago and you're getting to the point where they call it worthless, right? So you're actually at net zero, you're doing awesome. But then when you get into these threads and you see how amazing other people are doing with their journeys, you start comparing yourself. And now the other problem with these echo chambers is that you're not looking at an average sample size of the population. You are really looking at outliers already in that echo chamber. These are people that are not okay with saving 5-10% of their income. They're trying to get to like 50% or higher, and they're really aggressive in what they are doing. So you start comparing yourself to other people that are really outliers to begin with. And then the third part of this is that then the people who actually post their situation and their scenarios are typically people that are doing pretty well. It's very natural as humans to not want to share, how badly we're doing. We want to share our successes. So especially I've seen this on the Reddit threads where it's usually somebody who's in like San Francisco or they're in STEM and they have done extremely well. They had a buyout, whatever it may be. And the worst ones, in my opinion, are the people that are like, what should I do? I have $5 million. I'm not sure how I should invest it. And it's like, if you're smart enough to have $5 million at 30 years old, you're smart enough to know that the right answer is not on a Reddit thread. So if you find yourself in these echo chambers and then you find yourself comparing yourself to these people, realize that this is not like walking into the DMV, which is a natural sampling of the population. You're walking into an echo chamber that is already an outlier. These are the top 5% of people that are really financially focused. So in my opinion, that is just a really toxic way to go. But The third beef that I have with the FIRE movement is a lot of times we are treating the symptoms but not the cause of your pain. And here's an example that I can give you for that. Let's say that you had a rash in your hand. Now that is a symptom. That is telling you that there is something wrong. So we go and we rush to get a cream that we can put on there to help solve that issue, that symptom. But perhaps in that particular case, the actual cause of the problem is you have a latex allergy, and at work maybe you're a cook and you have to put on latex gloves. That's what's actually causing the problem for you. So too many times we're trying to treat the symptom and not the cause of the problem. And now this is especially true for me. About 3 years ago is when I really got into the FIRE movement. And the symptom that I was having was this frustration and pain with my job. I just felt like I didn't want to work there. I didn't want to sit in a box typing keys all day. I didn't want to, have to work these 40-hour schedules. I have no problem working 60 hours a week if it's something I'm passionate about, but this wasn't what I was passionate about, but it was how I was making money. The symptom was this pain that I was feeling, this frustration, right? And I was trying to put an ointment on it with the FIRE movement. And I'm like, if I can just get this savings rate up just a little bit more, we can retire earlier, blah, 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 blah. But for me, the cause of my pain was control. And I always want to control my environment. And I have a theory that most people are like me in the FIRE movement. You want to control things. You're kind of drawn like moth to a flame with the FIRE movement because it gives you a sense of more control. If you can, control your savings rate, if you can increase that, if you can start to increase your pay, you can retire earlier, you can be financially independent, and then you can start really controlling your time and what you do on a day-to-day. And it was that 9 to 5, it was that commute, it was, those meetings that dragged on, it was all those dumb things that I had to be involved with that I had no control over that really bugged me the most. And I just found myself in a situation that wasn't right for me. So I think the thing that I kind of realized is there is a floor to the FIRE movement, and that's pretty much $0. Those are people that are living on literally like nothing every year. And maybe they're out like foraging for like nuts and berries in the forest, and they live in a van down by the river or whatever it may be. But it's a really rough lifestyle. I'm not going to have my kids live that lifestyle with me. My wife certainly doesn't want to live that lifestyle. So I was like, that's not in the equation for me. So what I started doing in the beginning was I started spending less and less, which I think is great for most Americans, especially because we have way too much consumerism in our culture, and it's all about, trying to signal status and things like that. But sometimes there's just stuff that's important to you or it makes you feel comfortable. And I was kind of foregoing on those things. So a value that I live by now is how to maximize my output per hour of input. So this is really easy to figure out if you're at a salaried job where you work 40 hours. Let's say you make $20 an hour, roughly around a $40,000 salary. When you put 1 hour in, you get $20 back. So I think where people can be a little bit more strategic with their FIRE journey is keep that full-time job. That's fine. And then you have that side hustle. But with that side hustle, as quickly as possible, stop hunting and start farming. And what I mean by that is the people that are hunting with their side hustles are driving for Uber, DoorDash, Lyft, whatever it may be. And it's hunting because you go out there, you find, somebody that you can deliver food to, you deliver the food and you get money back. And it's an immediate exchange for that effort. Hunting, you get that return very quickly. With farming, you're going another different route where you may not see returns for your efforts right away, but over the long term, you will. So what I started to do with my job is I got to a very comfortable emergency fund where I got about 3 to 6 months of living expenses. I was continuing to put away for my retirement at the same time, but I really focused on farming. And for me, what that was building YouTube channels. So I want to share this spreadsheet with you that I was using to track my side hustle income. And we're looking right now in January 2019. I made $818 that month from affiliate marketing, YouTube revenue, and Amazon, which I'm sure you're probably familiar with these different things. On YouTube, you can get paid money from ads that might play on your videos. Amazon has a massive affiliate program that you can earn income from. And then there's just random affiliates that you can do as well. So $818 a month, not great, but I decided I really wanted to double down on this as my strategy and how I was going to earn passive income. So if we flash forward a little bit, you can see November 2020 was my first month that I cracked $10,000 $10,000. So I made $13,047.27 in 1 month passively. Now, air quotes passively, a lot of work went into this, but again, I was farming this entire time as opposed to hunting because I was building assets that they call are evergreen. And evergreen just means that you're putting content out there that continues to rank online, that continues to bring income back in, and allows you to kind of loosen the reins on your life a little bit. Now, if you go back to this spreadsheet though, one of the things you'll realize is that in January, that YouTube was accounting for over half of the income that I was earning passively. But if we highlight this row down here in November 2020, the interesting part is that YouTube was only accounting for about 15% of my income, and affiliate was really about 85% of the income that I was generating. So this is really fun. This is one of like 6 different affiliate marketplaces that I use, and this one's called Share a Sale. And you can see right here that on 3/20/21, $18,215 was paid, and that was all from affiliate income that I've generated from YouTube. Now that is 1 month on one marketplace. So in my particular situation, it's been about 10 months since I've left my job, and I can honestly say that I'm happier. I'm sleeping better. I've lost 15 pounds and still have a little bit to go, but I actually gained a lot of that weight from a combination of having kids and also being at a job that just felt like it was soul sucking. And I just found I was falling into all these bad traps. So it's not the end all be all of making passive income or trying to increase your revenue, but if you can do that in a way that allows you to leave a toxic situation, I think that you can really start to turn the boat around a little bit and really start directing your life in a way that you want to go. So my goal with this channel is I want 1,000 people to send me a tie. And that is because I'm going to cut that tie, I'm going to put it on this back wall. I'm calling it Cutting Ties with the 9 to 5. I want to help you do that. So what I'm going to do is this playlist right here, it's going to walk you through a beginner's guide to affiliate marketing. I'm going to teach you everything that I have learned that has allowed me to not only leave my job, but to stay self-employed and be an internet entrepreneur. All right, guys, I'm going to catch you in that video.